Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Unfailing Purpose. I am Chelsea. I wanted to welcome you guys back. I know in the last previous videos I had talked about my struggle with mental health, mainly anxiety, then leading to depression. And today I wanted to go over some actual, let's call it biology. I wanted to go over some actual biology as to how I came to the conclusion that my body functioned in such a way that God did design it for it to heal itself, given the right nutrients and supplements. So, as we know, our body is very complex, and so I'm going to try to be as basic as I can in this, and I'll just say right from the get-go, I am not a disclaimer. Disclaimer, I'm not a doctor. I don't claim to be a doctor. I am sharing with you my experience of what helped me, the research that went behind the way that I choose to treat my body. And so I just wanted to put that out there that no, I'm not a certified doctor and I don't know everything. However, I do know that with this way that I went about healing, I really have discovered true healing. And I just think it's very important that I share it with you. So I wanted to go over some things. So the lady that I had talked to you about in the last video that I went and saw, she worked out at a health food store. She is so knowledgeable. In fact, she even puts on classes for how to heal your body naturally. Huge godsend. I wish that she would just put them online, but I'm sure for certain reasons she doesn't. But all that being said, I am going to break down to you what I came to realize about my body. So one thing that I came to realize was that my endocrine system had failed me for a season. And so I'm going to read off to you some of the things that are included in our endocrine system, and then I'm going to break it down for you a little bit. So our endocrine system consists of the pineal gland, the hypothalamus, the pituitary gland, the thyroid and parathyroid glands, the adrenal glands, and our reproductive organs. Okay, so our endocrine system aids in the function of these few things: our metabolism, our growth and development, our sexual function and reproduction, our heart rate, our blood pressure, our appetite, our sleeping and waking cycles, and our body temperature. So, all that being said, that is what our endocrine system consists of, and that is what our endocrine system aids our body in doing. However, if you have issues within your endocrine system, you are going to have issues with your with your metabolism, with growth and development. You may or may not have a healthy sexual function. You may have reproductive issues. Your heart rate could be fast or slow depending on certain things. Your blood pressure, increased appetite or decreased appetite. Those can both be issues. Sleeping and waking cycles, feeling exhausted, and getting a full night's rest, having full 8 hours of rest and still feeling just completely and utterly exhausted. And then body temperature. I have cold hands quite often. So that's something that, that wasn't a warning sign to me. One of the huge warning signs to me was the lady that I had spoken to, and I'm not sharing her name just for her own privacy issues, but the lady I had spoken to had talked to me about my adrenal glands. She actually handed me this pamphlet, and I don't even know how many questions were on it, and I will be 100% honest with you. I'm telling and giving you all this information because when I was at the lowest point of being depressed and going out and talking to people I had never talked to and crying on their shoulder and just being completely worn out mentally, physically, emotionally, all of it, the last thing I could do was my own research. So that's why I'm breaking down everything so simply for you. But she had mentioned adrenal glands, and I took this quiz, and it was like from a 1 to a 3 or a 1 to a 4, 4 being how much you relate to this, and 1 being how much you don't relate to this, score yourself. Well, I did the I guess you would call it like almost like a survey type thing. And I brought it back to her, and she just opened to my last page, and I think I had like 64 or something like that. And she goes, okay, honey, this is what I figured it was. And so then she started to talk me through the process of my adrenal glands, and she really broke it down in such a way that I had an understanding. And so that's kind of what I wanted to share with you today, is that you can have an understanding of how your adrenals work, and you don't have to be a doctor. So some of the symptoms that I had with my adrenals was, and one of the reasons it was kind of easy to pinpoint it is because I had come off of a season of a lot of stress. But I didn't see it as stress. I saw it as productivity. I have 4 of my own children. At that time, I had, before that, I had been babysitting another child pretty much full time. And so I was juggling that. I was juggling a home-based business, a very successful home-based business that kept me very busy. And then we went on this trip, and I came back and I could not function. I literally could not just get the wheels turning again. And I was really struggling with what is wrong with me. So what happened during that time is my adrenal glands actually turned to, I guess you would say, almost failure. They were overworked, they were overstimulated. And so I was dealing with adrenal fatigue. And this isn't something that a lot of doctors talk about, because there's not, most doctors aren't going to subscribe that you rest, that you get to bed on time, that you maybe take melatonin until you can get into a rhythm of sleeping correctly. And so most doctors aren't going to talk to you about your adrenal glands. Some of the symptoms that I had was extreme tiredness, trouble falling asleep or waking up. Like I say, it didn't matter. When I was waking up or when I was going to bed, I was tired no matter what. If I got a full night's sleep, I was ready to go back to bed around 10:30 or 11 the next morning, which really isn't an option when you have children at home. But that's what I wanted to do. Another thing is that you'll crave salt and sugar at different times. Huge sweet craver right here. So that was something that was going on with me as well. And then I always needed caffeine for the day. There was no question about it. I needed caffeine to get me through the day. If I was going to have to stay awake and not take my 10:30 or 11 o'clock nap, I was going to need some caffeine. Another thing that was going on with me was a stress response. And you either have a fight through stress response, or you have a flight where you completely avoid things and you just shut down. And I was tending to have the flight response, which was never like me. I've always been a pull yourself up by the bootstraps type of person and push through. And that was a huge indicator to me that something was definitely off. And so all that being said, I began to realize that it was an endocrine system issue that I was dealing with. And that was the reason that I was dealing with anxiety and depression. My body was sending up all these red flags. Something's wrong, something's wrong. And finally, I listened to my body. Thankfully, like I say, the Lord put me in the right direction. And I was able to start treating myself. Another thing that our endocrine system deals with, and our adrenal glands deal with, are our hormones, okay? Because it is linked in with our reproductive organs. Fun fact, hormones was actually not labeled hormones until the 1900s. So it's actually just been coined as that term in the last 100 and so years. So hormones, this is the definition of hormones, okay? And I might repeat myself a few times, but hormones are chemicals that coordinate different functions in your body by carrying messages through your blood to your organs, skin, muscles, and other tissues. Let me say that again, okay? Hormones are chemicals that coordinate different functions. Okay, so they're coordinating all these different functions, and they're sending out messages through your blood to your different organs, your skin, your muscles, and your other tissues. How important are your hormones? Now, your hormones are linked to your adrenal glands. Your adrenal glands are 2 tiny little, I guess you'd call them almost like a nodule. Like I say, I'm not a doctor again, but they sit on top of your kidneys. And if they're not functioning right, you're not functioning right. And that's exactly what was going on with me. That was why the extreme fatigue, the sadness, all of those things that kick in. And so stress really kicks the endocrine system into high gear. And in so doing, your cortisol levels shoot through the roof. So your stress is like 0 to 60. And you're thinking, I'm losing it. Like, this is not normal. This is not me. Well, the truth is your endocrine system is fighting to compensate. And so this was some of the conclusion that I came to. My adrenals had issues. My endocrine system was not working functionally. So what did I need to do? I needed to support my endocrine system. I needed to support my adrenal glands. And so that's what the next video is going to be all about, is the way that I went about supporting my endocrine system and supporting my adrenal glands to help me on my road to recovery with depression and anxiety. So in the next video, because I'm going to try to keep these shorter, I am going to go into what types of supplements I took and how often I took them, and some of the different things that I changed within my life to make it so that I was able to have less stress, and other things. Like I say, the environment has a lot to do sometimes with how long we deal with our depression and anxiety as well. So I will keep this at this length today. Again, I would ask that you would like, share, subscribe to this channel so that this can be a blessing to other people, so that they are able to have hope in knowing that there is recovery with anxiety and depression, and that you can take it from a holistic approach, and that it can be successful. So again, I just wanted to remind you guys, don't forget that you have an unfailing purpose, and God has promises over your life, and that He wants to bless you, and He wants your life to be abundantly lived, and nothing that you're going through is wasted. There will be a plan and there will be a purpose for it one day, and you may not see it right now, but there is a purpose in it. So until we meet next time, have a blessed day, and I hope to see you again soon.